we will start with the very first sign of the zodiac, which of course is not really correct because a circle does not have a beginning nor an end. So that's why we take Mother Nature as our point of reference when spring starts at the spring equinox, usually on 23rd of March, as I mentioned before. That's when the sun goes into Aries for us Western astrologers using the tropical zodiac. And Aries, therefore, is the very beginning. But before we get into that, we should have just a little glimpse into that what is before the beginning. Meaning, everything comes from the nothingness. Everything before it manifests in any way of form, it is already there, but as I mentioned before, in the ether, in the non-manifested form, in the all being but not in a form. Because basically when something starts to form in something separate, which is an archetype of Aries, the moment it forms, it is separate from the whole. So it is always good to know that that sign that gives birth to the new beginning and to Aries is the 12th house, or the 12th sign is Pisces, which we can translate into the divine consciousness, the that what is without a form, the non-existing existence, the formless being, the time and spaceless. That is something that we can basically not describe in words, but it is a consciousness. A God experience is not praying to an outer entity, because that is still based on the belief of separation. But the God experience, the divine experience, is an experience beyond words, beyond time and space. It is basically an experience of a pure revelation that leaves you in just a state of 3 letters. That's all you have afterwards. So from that non-existent existence that has no shape, no form, out of that nothingness, the preparation of the last weeks of winter, when the sun is going through the sign of Pisces, where it seems, especially in countries like Canada or Germany, like northern countries, we all have the feeling we're so sick of winter. We have the feeling that, it's enough. But it seems as if nothing is moving. Nature is just dead asleep. And yet, while nothing is happening, Pisces, purest archetype of Pisces, the preparation of the new birth, of the new cycle, is already in process, but not in a visible or measurable form. So before Aries or something new is given birth to, there is already the state of oneness. Similar to a baby in the mother's womb. After the conception, given the fact that consciousness would be in there already, don't want to get into that. But the moment when the consciousness of the so-called soul, that part of the self that believes that it is separate from the self, there's only one self, that part, when it finds itself in the womb of the mother, perceives sensually or energetically that womb like an endless, warm, moist, nurturing balloon of time and spacelessness. So basically the prenatal, time before birth, for an embryo is the 12th house, or as an archetype, the 12th sign, i.e. Pisces. Or the astral world is also the 12th house, or the 12th sign, Pisces. Many spiritual or esoteric people mix up the astral world with heaven, but that is not true. The astral world is the dual opposite to the worldly world, but it's not heaven. Because in heaven there is no opposite, there is just one. So, but we cannot describe it, we can only experience it. So every religious dogma is basically a lie, it's just wrong. But the experience of oneness, which means in the same moment of not having any definition of I, of separation, is the Piscean archetype. And I love to start Aries with first helping us to remind that we are coming from the same Piscean oneness, that we all had the in-between state in the mother's womb. And then at one point, this huge universe of the mother's womb, from the point of view of the embryo, is basically shrinking as the baby's body is like growing. And shortly before birth and the labors kick in, it feels as if heaven is pushing us out, even though we're not in heaven, we're in astral world. That is one reason why there is this biblical story, which is interesting, put it this way, that Adam was thrown out of the paradise, because that is basically the experience of the Aries archetype. And I'll get to that in a minute. So now we start really with Aries. So if you do the index card, which I highly recommend, you want to write on the headline, Aries, Mars, first house / ascendant. And as a reminder for you to always be able to expand your understanding of archetypes, I would also recommend that you write underneath that Aries is fire, it is the quality of cardinal, and it is yang. That should be your sub-headline. And out of that nothingness, that existing nothingness, something brand new. Archetype brand new. It is brand new. Meaning it is so absolutely new that we do not have a concept. We have no point of reference for that very moment of the brand new, because it is so brand new. Right? And because it is brand new, as we learned about the signs, the qualities of cardinal, it is simultaneously carrying a certain form of inherent insecurity. And that insecurity is even on a quite high tension / stress. I mean, we have many forms of stress. We can have emotional stress, mental stress, but here we have like an instinctual stress, the stress of separation. Because, I mean, there is a reason why when babies are born and they enter this world, they cry.